Jim are going to get the Word of God and a few Jimisms. One of the facts of the world that most of us know but rarely admit is this: we lie to children. All the time we lie to children. We tell them things which are simply not true. We tell those lies sometimes out of good intentions. We think we are protecting them or teaching them, or sometimes we think we can manipulate them to behave with statements that roll off of our lips but are simply not true. And to be fair, often they are lies which we were told as children. Mommy, where do babies come from? They're delivered by the store, Connie. They're born in a cabbage patch. Better watch out. Better not cry. Better not pout. I'm telling you why. Why? Santa Claus is coming to town. If you make that face too long, it will freeze that way. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but words can never hurt you. All lies. Particularly that last one. I don't know who came up with that one, but it is a patently false assertion. We are hurt by words, especially names that we get called. I bet if we had a come to the altar of honesty moment, almost every one of us could produce a name that we were called as a child that to this day we can still feel a little bit of the hurt. Stupid, fat, lazy, black sheep, troublemaker, clown, sissy. That was mine. As a boy who had no athletic inclinations whatsoever, I liked music and books and was not a fighter. That was the name. The character in our story from Mark's Gospel this morning knows about names. Blind beggar Bartimaeus. Even the alliteration is cruel. Who is that sitting over there? Oh, that's blind beggar Bartimaeus, always in that same spot. Pitiful. Well, I gave him a few coins now and then. I know I probably shouldn't, but I feel sorry for him. Oh, you shouldn't do that. It just encourages the vagrants when you do that. Well, I know, but I just can't help myself. Blind beggar Bartimaeus. Even the Bartimaeus part is a dig, a slam. The name Bartimaeus literally means son of poverty, or son of the unclean. Blind beggar, son of the unclean. The terminology casts the man to his place in life. No one expected much of him. Obviously, he had issues that made his value to the world around him less than equal, far less than equal. He was what has been called by some one of the disposables. He was poor and he was blind. We don't know what made him blind. Was there an accident at an early age, or was he born that way? The way the world of that day coped with his unexplainable misfortune was they reasoned that either Bartimaeus or his parents must have a character weakness. Who sinned, this man or his parents, that he's blind? That was the question asked of Jesus when Jesus took opportunity to say, you can't always blame the one who is suffering or his family. Sometimes things just happen. Stuff happens. There was blind beggar Bartimaeus in his place. As a commentator on this passage said, at the main gate in Jericho, where the crowds gathered in expectation of the great deeds of Jesus, the blind man Bartimaeus sat in his customary place, begging, cup in hand. He wasn't born in that place. He'd been assigned to that spot by the powers that be. see, or perhaps by public consensus, for in their eyes that is where he belonged. A helpless young man who had to depend on charity. We are not much different today. We assign a place for those in need. Persons of means and persons who live in poverty each have their place, their side of town, their place to socialize and congregate and live and worship. We thought that with the sacrifices made by those who fought valiantly for civil rights in this country and the legal structures of racial segregation dismantled, we thought things would change. But we have found ways around it, ways to keep segregation alive. And to this day, economic status continues to keep folks in their place. The Bartimaeuses of our world, sons and daughters of poverty, know where to keep themselves so as not to sully the better sides of town. It may not be written in law, but it's widely known in practice. That's what makes South Main Chapel such an out-of-the-box, against-the-grain idea. What are some of you people doing here anyway? Don't you know there are churches on the more affluent side of town for people like you? The story is told of a new piece of public art being installed in the upscale community of Davidson, North Carolina. The article in the news said a new religious statue in the town of Davidson, North Carolina is unlike anything you might see in church. The statue depicts Jesus as a vagrant sleeping on a park bench. St. Albans Episcopal Church installed the homeless Jesus statue on its property in the middle of an upscale neighborhood filled with well-kept townhomes. Jesus is huddled under a blanket with his face and hands obscured. Only the crucifixion wounds on his uncovered feet give him away. Well, the reaction was immediate. Some loved it, some didn't. One woman from the neighborhood actually called police the first time she drove by, said David Borex, editor of the Davidson News. She thought it was an actual homeless person. That's right, somebody called the cops on Jesus. Another neighbor who lives a couple doors down from the church wrote a letter to the editor saying it creeps him out. Some neighbors feel that it's an insulting depiction of the Son of God and that what appears to be a hobo curled up on a bench demeans the neighborhood. The bronze statue was purchased for $22,000 as a memorial for a parishioner who loved public art. The rector of this liberal, inclusive church is the Reverend David Buck, a 65-year-old Baptist turned Episcopalian who seems not all averse to the controversy, the double takes, and the discussion the statue has provoked. It gives authenticity to our church, he says. This is a relatively affluent church, to be honest, and we need to be reminded ourselves that our faith expresses itself in active concern for the marginalized of society.
Amen.
You see, Bartimaeus is fine as long as he stays in his place with his beggar cup in hand. But on this day, for whatever reason, whether it was what he heard about Jesus or something else, Bartimaeus came out of his place of begging to meet the Master. His decision was not without controversy. He was told to get back into his place, even by people who thought they were defending all that was right and good and holy. We don't know why they tried to hush him up and sit him down. Maybe they thought he would bother Jesus. Maybe they were embarrassed for him to be a part of their community. Maybe they thought Jesus would not have time for him, that he would be an interruption to Jesus' schedule. We don't know why. We don't know why. We just know there were voices trying to silence Bartimaeus and keep him out of sight. Out of sight, out of mind. out of mind, free from obligation. If Bartimaeus stays in his place, he is not our worry. So the voices say, Bartimaeus, go back to your place. But there's one voice that says, Bartimaeus, what do you want from me? What an odd thing for Jesus to say. What do you want, Bartimaeus? Is Jesus not the Master? Is Jesus not the Son of God? Does Jesus not have all the answers? Could Jesus not tell Bartimaeus what he needs without him even having to ask? Why the question? Is Jesus not in the business of fixing people's problems for them? Some of us here are fixers. Find a problem, let me fix it. It feels good to fix problems. There's something a little ego-boosting about being able to find somebody who has a problem, who is a problem, and fix it for them or fix them. Don't we like to fix others? In the world of professional helpers, we even feel compelled to compile statistics about how much fixing we have done. Our funders, those who give us money to do the fixing, well, they like to see those numbers. They want to know money is well invested. Congratulations on all the fixing you have done. What most fixers don't report is when the fixing doesn't last. Got them fed, got them clothed, got them housed. How's he doing now? Oh, well, he's back on the streets. She's back in jail. He lost his job. She's using again. Nobody wants to hear that. We want to believe that when we fix someone, well, the work is done once and for all. Problem is fixed, on to the next. Sort of interesting that before Jesus does anything, he asks Bartimaeus, what do you want? Evidently, Jesus believes that the thoughts and opinions of Bartimaeus matter. Bartimaeus has something to say in this situation. It struck me as I read this that there's a ministry out there. There's a ministry right here that may not always be easy to sell to those who resource ministry, but it's simply this, the ministry of listening. Who has the time to listen? Well, there's too much to do. There's too many problems to fix to really listen. But maybe this story is teaching us that if lives are to be changed, somebody has to listen. Somebody has to listen. Would you listen this morning to a story of a man who was once homeless? His name is Denver. His story and the story of an unusual friendship he formed with a man who lived his life on the better side of town are recorded in a little book entitled What Difference Do It Make? Stories of Hope and Healing. Denver said, a lot of times people look at homeless folks the way they used to look at me. They kind of eyeballed me up and down, and I could see them wheels turning in their heads, wondering how that fella got that way. See, that ain't the right question to be asking, because it might be that ain't none of our business. Our business is to find out, is there anything we can do to bring a change in their life, to bring opportunity, to bring hope. It might mean helping him find a job, might mean getting him off liquor and drugs. Here's my story, Denver says. When I showed up in Fort Worth, Texas, I couldn't read, I couldn't write, I couldn't do a lick of arithmetic. I grew up on a plantation in the Deep South and never went to school a day of my life. I was born in Red River Parish, Louisiana in 1937, a time when whites was white and blacks was colored. Oh, officially there wasn't no slavery, but that didn't mean there wasn't no slaves. All around the South we had what was called sharecroppers. Now my daddy, B.B., wasn't no sharecropper. He was a railroad worker. I think. I never did know for sure. And he was a ladies' man. They couldn't set foot in the new Mary Magdalene Baptist Church on Sundays because, you see, he'd been stepping out with all the ladies on the night before. But B.B. got stabbed to death one night in Grand Bayou, right out there on Highway 1. And my grandma, Big Mama, had already burned up in a house fire by then. And me and my brother Thurman, well, we went to live with my Aunt Etha and Uncle James. They were sharecropping on a plantation down there near Coshada. Now, when you're sharecropping, here's how it works. The man that owns the plantation gives you something you need to make a cotton crop, except he give it to you on credit. Then you plant, you plow, and you chop that cotton till picking time. And when you bring in that cotton, you're supposed to split the crop down the middle, or maybe 60-40, and the man will take his share, and you take yours. Except somehow it never did work out that way, because you see, by the time you pay the man back for all that he done loaned you on credit, ain't nothing left out of your share of the crop. In fact, most of the time you're in the hole, so you got to work another season on the plantation to pay back what you owe. From the time I was a little bitty boy, I was a cropper. Didn't know how to do nothing except plantation work, plowing and planting and chopping and picking and whatever odd jobs there was to do. I worked like that all the way till the 1960s, all without no paycheck. Then one day when I was grown, I realized I was never going to get ahead. I wasn't never going to be able to pay the man back what I owed. So I hopped on a freight train that come running through the country and wound up in Fort Worth, Texas. Even though I hadn't been out of Red River Parish, I'd heard there was plenty of work in the cities, but once I got there, I found out there wasn't too many folks willing to hire a colored fellow who couldn't read, who couldn't write, and who couldn't figure. I got me a few odd jobs here and there, but it wasn't enough to pay for a place to live, so I wound up homeless. Now let's say you walked up to me on East Lancaster Street in Fort Worth, and you asked me, "Why are you homeless? Why are you down on your luck?" If I told you about B.B. and Big Mama and the man, if I told you that I used to work plantations like a slave almost up until the time America put a man on the moon, what you gonna say? What you gonna say to me? You're gonna say, "Here's $1, good luck, and God bless." A lot of homeless folks have been hurt and abused since we was little bitty. At one time or another, we loved or was loved by somebody. We had hope. We believed. Then hope flew out the door and everything we had was gone. For a lot of us, there come a time when nobody was willing to take us in. Nobody was willing to help in no kind of way. All the doors were slammed in our faces. And the next thing you know, we're just sitting on the curb with everybody passing us by, won't even look at us. Even though you're still a human being inside, even though you might have been a little boy once with a mama, even though you might have been married once with a house and a job, now you ain't nothing. And once that happens, people rather come up and pet a stray dog than even say hello. Sometimes we become homeless because we've done some real bad thing. Something so bad that everybody in our life just stopped loving and trusting us. And when you ain't got no one to love you and trust you, you become like a wild animal, hiding and living in the dark. Even when you see them homeless fellas on the street that look real cheerful and happy, that's just a mask. Underneath is a swamp of misery. But they're putting on that mask so that they can get through the day. Maybe scare up $1 or $2 so they can get something to eat. Or a half pint to take the edge off of the pain. No, if you'd have seen me back then, you probably wouldn't have believed my story. You might even have rolled on by and said to yourself, "Idle hands is the devil's workshop. Why didn't that lazy fella get a job?" Jesus asked, "What do you want, Bartimaeus?" "I want to see, Jesus." Jesus said to him, "Go. Your faith has healed you." What? Why did he say that? Why didn't Jesus say, "I have healed you. I have fixed you, Bartimaeus"? Why didn't he have Bartimaeus stand up right there and give his testimony so that others could look around and say, "Look, that's Jesus," and Jesus could say, "Yeah, look, I'm Jesus. I fixed him"? No.